going? I don't know. Is it going? I don't know. Is it going? Hello, hello, hello. I don't know. Hello, hello, hello. Is it going? Hello, hello, hello. I don't know. Hello, hello, hello. Is it going? Hello, hello, hello. I don't know. Hello, hello, hello. Is it going? Hello, hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. 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 Warning. Hello. The stream. Hello, 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 hello. Warning. What's happening? Hello. The stream. Hello, 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 hello. Warning. What's happening? Hello. The stream. Hello, 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 hello. Warning. Seems current bit rate. Hello. The stream. Hello. Lower than the recommended bit rate. Seems current bit rate. Hello. The stream. Hello. Lower than the recommended bit rate. Seems current bit rate. Hello. The stream. Hello. Lower than the recommended bit rate. Seems current bit rate. Hello. The stream. Hello. Lower than the recommended bit rate. Seems current bit rate. Hello. The stream. Lower than the recommended bit rate. Seems current bit rate. Hello. The stream. Lower than the recommended bit rate. I think we're ready. Lower than the recommended bit rate. Well, it says good. I think we're ready. Lower than the recommended bit rate. Well, it says good.
Now the US Department of Health and Human Services is slashing $500 million in government funding for mRNA vaccine development. Now the US Department of Health and Human Services is slashing $500 million in government funding for
the most
mRNA
urgent invention in the world right now is a vaccine that prevents you from getting COVID-19. It's going to have to go to 7 billion people. One final way that's promising is the RNA vaccine.
Messenger RNA.
Messenger RNA.
Get it done. We need it. We want it fast.
The FDA is fast-tracking a possible coronavirus vaccine.
If we had a pandemic, wink, wink, we could emergency authorize this new mRNA technology.
There was never a vaccine made with mRNA.
Messenger RNA, which we had no previous experience with, none.
The mRNA technology scares me. It's a brand new technology being used.
When people received their first COVID-19 vaccine, it was the first time their body received lipid nanoparticles.
People historically have this confidence in the concept of, oh, it's just a vaccine. Lipid nanoparticles go everywhere in the body. To the brain, to the bone marrow, to the liver, to the spleen, most importantly, to the reproductive organs.
I regret it every single day that I walked into my local pharmacy to get that shot in my arm.
It's very likely that the mRNA vaccines accelerate coronary artery disease.
Not one more shot should be delivered.
It's a tragedy that it was allowed to happen.
The mRNA vaccines, its uses are being expanded tremendously.
Who just lost to Dr. Robert Miller? It's perceived that there is a gold mine, a huge amount of potential profit to be made with this new technology.
Joel Walskog had a fulfilling career as a surgeon, but he had no choice but to abandon his calling due to the severity of his health problems after an mRNA COVID vaccine.
I had a very busy practice. I specialized in joint replacement because of my extra training. It was a great practice. I saw about 6,000 patients in clinic every year, and I did about 800 to 900 surgical procedures per year. That's a very busy practice. You took people that were in a lot of pain and functionally disabled from it, and you do a joint replacement like a hip or a knee replacement, and literally 6 weeks later, their life has dramatically changed. So it was very gratifying for me too. I enjoyed getting up every day, and I always told my kids, try to find something that you love, because almost every day I was excited about going to work.
A week after his vaccination, Joel's health began to rapidly decline.
About 7 days later, I remember waking up from bed and telling my wife that my feet were numb. So maybe 1 week later, after my numbness started, I remember I was at work and I was sitting in a clinic room talking to a patient, and I tried to stand up, and literally my legs wouldn't go. There was just no reaction. My legs wouldn't help me stand. So I remember using my hands to push my body up, and as soon as I tried to stand, I fell, and just my legs gave out. And really it was at that time when I knew that there was something more serious or more ominous going on. Very quickly I got diagnosed with a condition called transverse myelitis. I realized that my condition was much more serious, and unfortunately I've never been back to work since. I couldn't work. I went through probably every phase of grief. I certainly was in denial. I had a long period of being very angry. Unfortunately, my leg weakness, my leg numbness, my loss of stamina, my balance problems have never improved. I have about 2 to 4 hours on my legs a day, so I can get around most days okay for 2 to 4 hours. But after that, my legs are pretty much done for the day, and I spend a lot of time on my recliner in our family room where I can read and do things like that. Sometimes I get neuropathic or kind of bad pain flares. Sometimes the flares are so bad pain-wise or weakness-wise that I have to go on steroids, and the steroids usually can get me out of a flare. Also, since my injury, it's interesting that my blood pressure has been elevated, my heart rate's been elevated ever since my injury. Just about 2 or 3 months ago, I started passing out. So sometimes I could tell where I was getting a little dizzy, but about 2 months ago, I was sitting at our kitchen table, and my kids just said I started kind of speaking gibberish, then kind of keeled over and fell on the floor.
In the race to end a global pandemic, a novel genetic vaccine technology was fast-tracked under the banner of Operation Warp Speed, and billions of doses were administered worldwide. Now, the former director of the CDC and an advisor to Operation Warp Speed has raised concerns about what he sees as potential shortcomings of mRNA vaccines.
The mRNA vaccine, where I use this vaccine, helped develop it. I don't use it anymore in my patients.
Redfield believes that while mRNA vaccines helped reduce severe illness, he no longer recommends the technology due to potential risks with spike protein production.
I turn your body into a factory, but I have no controls over that factory. Right. I mean, you can make a lot, you can make a little, and you can make it for a week, you can make it for 6 months. I don't think it's unreasonable to go re-examine the safety of what we know about these vaccines.
Regulators and the WHO state that COVID vaccines have saved millions of lives with minimal safety concerns.
This vaccine, the mRNA vaccines, probably saved about 3 million lives. I think that was the greatest scientific or medical achievement in my lifetime.
At the same time, it's widely acknowledged that protection wanes.
The current vaccines are not infection blocking. When new variants come up, you lose protection, and they have very short duration. Every one of those things is fixable.
While the majority of the scientific community considers the COVID vaccines safe, thousands of doctors and scientists are calling for a halt to mRNA vaccines. For years, a growing number of prominent experts have been investigating what they believe could be serious potential harms linked to these vaccines.
So I'll see the next slide before I come back. Is the solution to get through the truth out to the public around these major issues? And again, we've got good quality observational data showing increase in heart attacks and cardiac arrest in people aged between 16 and 40, so younger people, which was associated with the vaccine and not with COVID. That's from Israel.
Having some of the brightest minds from around the world come together.
Get injured and then you sue your...
This is a group of highly competent professionals that are seeking to obtain answers.
Huge applause to Dr. Robert Malone.
Robert Malone, one of the inventors of mRNA technology, voices his concerns about the safety of mRNA vaccines.
The evidence about the adverse events from the vaccines is unequivocal. It is absolutely overwhelming. These adverse events clearly include myocarditis and a number of other things, including in particular clotting disorders. But we're just still learning about many of the long-term adverse events.
Robert Malone's website lists nearly 800 papers on mRNA vaccine side effects.
Well, Robert Malone is a brilliant man. He was a brilliant researcher. He could reasonably have won the Nobel Prize. Really, it was that good. The stuff that he did was that much of a breakthrough.
At that time, I had a series of discoveries that led to 9 issued patents, which are the foundation technology for mRNA vaccines as well as DNA vaccination. No fences, no barn. This old barn that's falling down was here, but it was...
Before the pandemic, Robert Malone was highly regarded in the academic world and enjoyed a fulfilling life at his homestead with his wife Jill.
We don't sell our mature mares. They're kind of our family. And this one right here, that's his great-grandmother. She scored very high on inspection.
This is a technology that may have held promise at some point in time if the problems could have been solved. It may have been destroyed, its positive potential, by this crazy rush to deploy it globally before it was ready.
When Malone raised questions about the safety of COVID vaccines, his life was forever changed, and his concerns were categorically dismissed.
These are highly credentialed people who are suffering from some kind of deep misunderstanding or delusion.
Those are the people I worry about because they're credentialed.
We now have a modern studio and a 4-camera system.
Now, Robert is on a mission conducting countless interviews and giving lectures to educate the public about the potential dangers of COVID vaccines and the rapid deployment of new mRNA products.
There are over 200 different clinical trials currently planned for mRNA-based technology, and over 40 trials are currently enrolling.
Could mRNA technology potentially be introduced into the food supply through the vaccination of dairy cattle?
The administration of these types of technologies in humans has demonstrated that they can be shed in breast milk in humans. And so it's likely that they could be shed in milk from dairy cattle.
Science that can't be questioned is propaganda. When we took an oath in medicine to first do no harm, where did that go?
Ryan Cole, a pathologist with expertise in virology and immunology. He believes that the harms of the COVID vaccines are significant and downplayed.
It's crazy to think that people that aren't doctors, aren't scientists, were pushing something that never worked.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
And there were billions spread around and shared amongst each other. And now we have millions of people around the world that carry permanent harm for the rest of their lives, who are now paralyzed, who now have neurodegenerative disease, who now have severe autoimmune.
Background: common development vaccines play viral methods. As a result, infrastructure has been, however, lactating women have been largely excluded from most vaccine clinical trials. As a result, limited research has been conducted on the sustained distribution of vaccines of RNA during lactation, whether it's expected. Here we evaluated detectable BM after determines potential findings. Of 13 lactating women receiving the vaccine, 20 exposures, trace mRNA amounts were detected in 10 exposures. After 45 hours, the mRNA was concentrated in the breast milk's EVs. However, the EVs neither expressed SARS-CoV-2 spike protein nor induced its expression in the HE29 cell. Linkage analysis suggests vaccine RNA integrity was reduced by. Our finding demonstrated the vaccine is not confined to the injection site but sprayed systemically and is packaged into. However, as only trace quantities are present and clear translational activity is absent, we believe breastfeeding post-vaccination is safe, especially 48 hours after the vaccine, says The Lancet.
diseases. People historically have this confidence in the concept of, oh, it's just a vaccine. Well, no, it's not. And then they want to mandate these on people. Well, we have this new technology, everybody needs to get it.
Getting everyone vaccinated.
It's very likely that the mRNA vaccines accelerate coronary artery disease. Now, as a cardiologist, that's really, really bad. Because what we've done is we have introduced into the population another risk factor for heart disease and heart attacks. That means we will see an increased prevalence of heart attacks and sudden cardiac death going on for years. And that's my biggest fear.
This paper by Bowmeyer shows the spike protein staining in that salmon color is physically in the heart. We shouldn't have Wuhan spike protein in young boys hospitalized in Germany with myocarditis. As we sit here today, there's over 3,000 papers in the peer-reviewed literature that describe COVID-19 vaccine injuries, disabilities, and deaths.
Peter McCullough is a widely published cardiologist whose extensive knowledge and expertise have established him as a leading authority in the field of cardiology.
Prior to the pandemic, I had focused on the interface between heart and kidney disease. And in that domain, I was the most published person in the world in history and remain to that day. I've given grand rounds in every major institution in the United States, published extensively across all the major journals. I was the editor of 2 major journals.
Peter McCullough believes observational and case studies suggest a possible link between the vaccine and serious conditions.
Encephalitis, seizures, and then dangerous intracranial hemorrhages and strokes. Now, outside in the peripheral nervous system, papers have been written demonstrating the vaccines over time, particularly cumulative toxicity, cause a small fiber neuropathy. And they cause dysregulation of the sympathetic nervous system. We call this posterior orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, or POTS. The COVID-19 vaccines cause myocarditis. They cause heart damage.
Heart attack deaths have become more common across all age groups.
Experts call for much more research into health issues that have risen during and after the pandemic, taking into account the effects of COVID, vaccines, and lockdowns.
Sudden death among healthy working-age people worldwide is skyrocketing.
There has been an increased rise, a sharp rise in unexplained deaths during the pandemic, deaths that are not listed as COVID-related.
Cardiac arrest incidents are at the highest ever recorded in Victoria.
Led to this situation that we're in. It was all predictable.
These experts deliver a clear message. The COVID vaccines, especially those using mRNA technology, should be stopped immediately. They also urge a much greater focus and allocation of resources to investigate all safety signals.
I think I'm uniquely qualified to speak on what's been going on for the last years. I actually have degrees in applied mathematics, immunology, computational biology, biochemistry, and molecular biology. These things need to stop being pushed and given today. Not one more shot should be delivered. It's the constant same message that's not true. I'm referring to primarily the safe and effective message still being put out today. These mRNA products specifically, those are the ones I know the most about, are neither. And so the main message is that the people who are injured, who haven't made the connection between, why they're injured and why they're suffering, I want to provide them, the most help. First of all, to know that they're not alone. If they're being gaslit even by their own doctor, there are people out there who are establishing protocols to help the vaccine injured.
The post-vaccination community is desperately seeking treatments and
There is a post-vaccination community. Unbelievable. As if we haven't had enough problems in our hands. Now we need to deal with this. Well done, guys. But the news is...
Supportive environment where they feel seen.
If there's anyone who's lost someone in their family to the jab, could they please stand up? If there's anyone in this room who's been personally injured by the vaccine, could they please stand up? Please keep standing. If you know anyone who has been injured by the jab, please stand up.
Paul Marik is recognized as one of the world's top specialists in pulmonary and critical care. Having authored over 500 peer-reviewed publications, he is established as one of the most published physicians in his field.
Many diseases.
Paul Marik and his team are working on solutions for what he believes is a health catastrophe following mass vaccination.
They were never safe nor effective. They've harmed countless millions of people. It should never have happened, and it's a tragedy that it was allowed to happen. These so-called vaccines, I think, represent the worst of COVID and the worst of this deceit, dishonesty that we've seen. And I think we provide part of the answer to this terrible problem we're facing.
Experts critical of COVID vaccines point to biopsy findings, thousands of case reports, and large studies which they believe reveal real harm. Health authorities and much of the scientific community find the claims unconvincing and point to thousands of studies as evidence that the vaccines are well researched and safe. Allocation of resources to investigate all safety signals.
I think I'm uniquely qualified to speak on what's been going on for the last years. I actually have degrees in applied mathematics, immunology, computational biology, biochemistry, and molecular biology. These things need to stop being pushed and given today. Not one more shot should be delivered. It's the constant same message that's not true. I'm referring to primarily the safe and effective message still being put out today. These mRNA products specifically, those are the ones I know the most about, are neither. And so the main message is that the people who are injured, who haven't made the connection between, why they're injured and why they're suffering, I want to provide them, the most help. First of all, to know that they're not alone. If they're being gaslit even by their own doctor, there are people out there who are establishing protocols to help the vaccine injured.
The post-vaccination community is desperately seeking treatments and a supportive environment where they feel seen.
If there's anyone who's lost someone in their family to the jab, could they please stand up? If there's anyone in this room who's been personally injured by the vaccine, could they please stand up? Please keep standing. If you know anyone who has been injured by the jab, please stand up.
Paul Marik is recognized as one of the world's top specialists in pulmonary and critical care. Having authored over 500 peer-reviewed publications, he is established as one of the most published physicians in his field.
COVID doesn't, vaccine doesn't, many diseases.
Paul Marik and his team are working on solutions for what he believes is a health catastrophe following mass vaccination.
They were never safe nor effective. They've harmed countless millions of people. It should never have happened, and it's a tragedy that it was allowed to happen. These so-called vaccines, I think, represent the worst of COVID and the worst of this deceit, dishonesty that we've seen. And I think we provide part of the answer to this terrible problem we're facing.
Courts to really overcome
Experts critical of COVID vaccines point to biopsy findings, thousands of case reports, and large studies which they believe reveal real harm. Health authorities and much of the scientific community find the claims unconvincing and point to thousands of studies as evidence that the vaccines are well researched and safe. They argue that safety monitoring and research indicate side effects are very rare, and they view case reports and biopsies as inconclusive for linking them to vaccination. The new FDA director is launching a national study into COVID-19
for the last years. I actually have degrees in applied mathematics, immunology, computational biology, biochemistry, and molecular biology. These things need to stop being pushed and given today. Not one more shot should be delivered. It's the constant same message that's not true. I'm referring to primarily the safe and effective message still being put out today. These mRNA products specifically, those are the ones I know the most about, are neither. And so the main message is that the people who are injured, who haven't made the connection between, why they're injured and why they're suffering, I want to provide them, the most help.
He is established as one of the most published physicians are working on solutions for what he and critical care.
If you know anyone being personally injured by the vaccine, could they please stand up? Please keep standing. If you know anyone who has been injured by the jab, please stand up.
Paul Merrick is recognized as one of the world's top specialists in pulmonary and critical care. Having authored over 500 peer-reviewed publications, he is established as one of the most published physicians in his field.
Wow. Many diseases.
Paul Merrick and his team are working on solutions for vaccine harms.
We have not gotten full
safe of COVID vaccine.
Terrible problem we're facing.
Experts critical of COVID vaccines point to biopsy findings, thousands of case reports, and large studies which they believe reveal real harm. Health authorities and much of the scientific community find the claims unconvincing and point to thousands of studies as evidence that the vaccines are well researched and safe. They argue that safety monitoring and research indicate side effects are very rare, and they view case reports and biopsies as inconclusive for linking them to vaccination. The new FDA director is launching a national study into COVID-19 vaccine harms.
We have not gotten full elucidation of the risks of these mRNA vaccines. Hundreds of thousands of people have claimed that they've been vaccine injured. I take those concerns very seriously.
What is inside my arm? What's in my arm? What's in my arm, yo?
In this chapter, let's break down the science using 3D visuals to show how the mRNA vaccine works and explore its potential links to clotting and heart damage. But first, let's recognize that messenger RNA isn't just a man-made invention. In its natural form, it's a marvel within our bodies. Evolution has gifted life with the wonders of genetic coding, the blueprint of existence. In this grand symphony of life, messenger mRNA plays a vital part. The magnificent diversity of life stems from humble beginnings, evolving over billions of years to attain its marvelous complexity. The journey from primitive beings to complex creatures would not have been possible without the genetic blueprint called DNA and the related molecule RNA. DNA holds all the instructions to maintain the body. These instructions are then copied from DNA into smaller snippets called messenger RNA, which are the to-do list for each cell. So you can think of DNA as the blueprint, and mRNA is the project manager bringing plans to life.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade.
During the space race of the 1950s and 60s, genetics research saw rapid progress, including the discovery of messenger RNA in 1961. Today, scientists have figured out how to create a synthetic, modified version of mRNA in the lab that is engineered to last longer and evade immune detection. Our cells mistake this lab-made mRNA as their own, and our body starts to create proteins for therapeutics or vaccines. The modified mRNA vaccines are created on a computer in a lab, without using a real virus. These genetic vaccines only required the genetic sequence of the coronavirus.
We never had access to the physical virus to design the product.
In the early stages of the pandemic, Chinese scientists released the genetic code of the coronavirus, sparking a global race to develop a vaccine.
As soon as we get that sequence, let's plug it into mRNA. That's all I needed was the sequence.
They used the genetic code provided by Chinese scientists.
mRNA, that's all I...
This guy, man. Just this guy. Wow.
needed was the sequence.
They used the genetic code provided by Chinese scientists as a backbone for their mRNA vaccine. The modified genetic code in the vaccine instructs our bodies to produce only a specific part of the coronavirus rather than the entire virus itself.
Vaccine platforms are using what's called the spike protein of the coronavirus.
The spike proteins are the tiny spikes on the surface of the virus. Once this mRNA code is injected into your body, it instructs your cells to make these coronavirus spikes. By creating these spikes in our body, our immune system should build immunity against this specific part of the virus.
The worst mistake of all would be to take messenger RNA and then have it code for a lethal protein that was engineered in a Chinese biosecurity lab. That was a disaster.
The mRNA technology is exceptionally complicated and unlike anything we have seen with standard vaccines.
When people received their first COVID-19 vaccine, it was the first time their body received lipid nanoparticles.
The mRNA vaccine dose is filled with tiny bubbles of fat called lipid nanoparticles. These fat bubbles protect the modified mRNA from degrading and help it enter cells. Once inside, the mRNA instructs the cells to produce a genetically engineered version of the spike protein.
The lipid nanoparticles, when they attach to cells, then the lipid nanoparticles dump off their payload, messenger RNA. The messenger RNA then is taken into the cytoplasm of the cell. It's read by ribosomes over and over and over again. The spike protein, which is a foreign protein, is expressed on the surface of cells.
The injection of mRNA vaccines turns our bodies into spike protein manufacturing sites. With every dose, a substantial amount of these modified spike proteins are created inside your body. The scientific community has stated that the spike protein created by the vaccine is
That is fucking horrible. Oh my god. I got a heart attack watching this. Fuck.